So I wanted to remind the public one more time of what actually happened. To the best of my knowledge, from what was actually shared with me, what seems to be honest. Okay, so this woman, who's the clinical coordinator at Lenape Valley Foundation, seems to have Googled me and had found things that she found were disturbing, which led my therapist, who was her underling, to start the appointment that I had after she Googled me, with literally asking me, number one, stating that, quote, they found my YouTube channel, which apparently they didn't. It seems like they had found somebody else's YouTube channel, most likely Adonis Paul's or somebody's like that, but I won't ever know because they're never going to tell me the truth. And then it was followed up with asking me if I had any firearms or if I had planned to use any firearms, blah, blah, blah. Now, anybody that has worked in mental health knows where that conversation's going real quick. And then it was insisted that I get a psychiatric evaluation, to which I said, basically, I think my exact words were, if she wants me to get a psychiatric evaluation, she can, quote, suck my fucking dick, or what I said. But what needs to be understood is Googling a client. Now, this is the thing. Are people going to Google clients? Yes. At my former place of business, when I worked at Pendle Mental Health, and this is how I know what goes on in mental health, gossiping, you have to understand, it's a predominantly female industry. The mental health industry is predominantly female and homosexual men. So, of course, people are going to Google people and they're going to gossip about people and all this stuff. But at the very least, people should have the sense to not use what they find online and confront the client with it. Now, mind you, this is after it had already been proven that I was being stalked, harassed, and threatened by a third-party psychiatrist that has no relation to this organization and has no reason to lie on my behalf. He was just a psychiatrist. His only job was to treat me while I was under his care. And he said I wasn't lying, I wasn't delusional. What I said matches reality. Okay. So what's really annoying about this is how I ended up ending therapy was my therapist had reminded me that this is a losing battle, that no matter what, Lenape Valley will come out on top, and that there's nothing I can really do about it. And then when I refused to accept that, she basically stated that she couldn't really help me any further because of the ongoing, which is not her fault, it's a factual statement, really, that she could no longer help me because of the breakdown in communication caused by the situation with the agency, which was caused by Ms. Jenkins here, and prior to that by the crisis unit, which the crisis unit had tried to erroneously throw to me, which is how it was proven that I was being stalked, harassed, and threatened. So the question that you might have is it ethical to Google a client? So if you're a therapist, is it ethical to Google a client? The obvious answer is no. That's the obvious answer. Okay, of course, in the day and age we live in, everybody's Googling everybody, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, have the sense not to do what this moron did. So this is from the Psychological Association. And what it says about Googling your client is, okay, long gone are the days when we wondered what our first loves look like now or what our blah, 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 but such technologies also present a dilemma for psychologists and psychology graduate students. Should you ever search a client online? In most cases, search only if you have the client's consent. Didn't have my consent. Okay? It's okay to pull up a client's personal website or Facebook page during a therapy session to see pictures of his or her children or to better understand a personal crisis he's coping with. They use he. Oh my God, that's actually assumption of gender by the American Psychological Association. They better be careful. I might call them out on that. But spying just because you can is inappropriate, which seems to be what has happened in this case. With the case with Miss Jenkins. Most psychologists wouldn't like to find out that a client was parking outside their house with binoculars each night, says Barnett. If they are snooping on them electronically, how would that make them feel and affect the relationship? So consider this. Most psychologists wouldn't like to find out their clients are spying on them. So what this psychologist is saying, how would a psychologist like it if they're like, how do they think their their client would feel if the client found out they were snooping on them? Therapists Googling clients. A lot of discussion between therapists about online privacy deals with a unilateral direction of clients seeking out information about the therapists, or friend requests, or followers on social media. Plenty of space is devoted to proper social media policies to have upfront rules, blah, blah, blah. This is, of course, true. Patient targeting Googling is when therapists seek information about their clients, the availability, or in this case, someone else's client. The availability of both personal and public information about clients has grown rapidly over the past decades, giving therapists an opportunity to learn more information about clients than ever before. These relational boundary crossings, can be intentional or unintentional, and can be consensual or non-consensual. In this case, it was non-consensual. All of which impacts the way therapy is practiced, depending on the timing of these boundary crossings. The impact can affect anything from therapist counter-transference to verifying client claims against delusional and psychotic ideation, which what's very funny about this is it actually did verify my claim against delusional or psychotic ideation with a third-party psychiatrist, only for this kook to, I assume, think I was lying, or think I was engaging in the activities that was being said I was engaging in that I wasn't engaging in. Okay? So there's only, but that's the problem. The real problem is, after a year and a half of looking for a therapist, I had to discontinue my therapy because I was no longer capable of having therapy provided by this agency, because this agency's shortcomings and inability to accurately assess any situation whatsoever, and to again and again and again and again and again act unethically regarding me. And the thing is, and this is what you have to understand, if they're acting unethically regarding me, somebody that's very vocal and very verbal, what do you think they're doing with people that aren't as vocal, that aren't as verbal, that aren't as mentally and cognitively competent? Do therapists ever Google their clients or their patients, they say? Employers use it to check out prospective employees, blah, 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 blah. For starters, it does happen from time to time, but only when absolutely necessary. That's horseshit. I worked in mental health. It happens all the time. Most therapists agree that Googling a patient before an appointment is discouraged and could constitute an ethical violation, but safety concerns can lead some to take preemptive measures. Blah, blah, blah. I often see clients in my home office, so it's crucial to verify someone's identity and make sure that what I learn in their initial phone consult matches what I can expect to walk in the door, said Michelle Moore, a licensed professional counselor, certified coach, and relationship expert based in New Mexico. I won't go private investigator on them, though, Moore added. The off chance that something comes up that you know before the person does or ever tells you about themselves, how does one contain that? Well, apparently in this situation, they ask you to get a psychiatric evaluation and ask you if you have any firearms. Licensed clinical social worker Sherry Heller has also found that a little forward planning and research has been beneficial. Heller once had a client who she suspected was lying about a court case and his alleged behavior, which could have posed a risk to himself and others. This is information professionals may need to know, Heller said. A quick search of the relevant case verified her concerns. Otherwise, therapists take an unbiased approach. That's also a bunch of bullshit. Anybody that has worked with therapists or has personal friends that are therapists knows that therapists are never actually unbiased. In fact, that's one of the reasons people have to work through their biases. Like, for example, that's one of the problems that I had was my therapist was a feminist, okay? Well, if you're a feminist, you're obviously going to have biases towards white people. You're especially going to have biases towards men, okay? Because that's what feminist counseling is. That's what feminism is, okay? So really, should you be providing therapy to those people? And it's sad because I think my therapist and I were doing very well together. Unfortunately, I mean, despite the whole feminism thing and all that crap, it never really impeded our therapy that I knew of. But, I mean, we had to discontinue services because of the unethical nature of the company itself, which was Lenape Valley. And that's all for this video.